Today I'm going to talk to you about my favorite natural looking foundations that are dry skin approved. And if you're interested in knowing more about these foundations, keep on watching my top 5 favorite natural looking foundations which have low to medium coverage, but they also let your skin peek through, and they have this nice glow, natural finish, satin matte kind of finish. Of course, it depends on the foundation and the skin prep underneath, but these foundations give you a natural finish no matter how you apply them. So let's get started. The first foundation I'm going to talk to you about is the Dior Forever Skin Glow Foundation. They have a matte version of this too, but because I have dry skin, I prefer the Skin Glow version. It gives you like a nice, natural looking, radiant finish. It gives you this subtle, natural luminosity whenever I apply this, and I really enjoy it, especially on like a nice winter day when my skin is feeling super dry and the weather is super dry. But then I apply this and my skin is all of a sudden glowy and nice and radiant. They have a great shade range, and they also have olive undertones, and I think I'm an olive undertone person, and it's really difficult for us to find foundation shades. And this one also has SPF in it. It's SPF 35, but it is a mix of a chemical and a physical sunscreen. I would still recommend using a proper sunscreen before applying your foundation, and do not rely on the sunscreen that the companies provide in the foundations. I think there are like a couple of things that I don't like. This has fragrance in it, and it also doesn't seem like to do well with my smile lines sometimes, like towards the end of the day. If I did not prep my skin properly before application of the foundation, it tends to settle down in my fine lines. Sometimes I do not apply primer in my mouth or anywhere else on my face when I'm like trying to get to work in the morning and I don't have a lot of time to do all this. That's when this one doesn't perform really well on my skin. It might perform well on your skin, but then when I prep my skin with a primer before underneath, especially around my mouth area, it performs really well. And like I said, it looks really good, but it does have fragrance in it. So if you're somebody who cannot tolerate fragrance, or if you're like a little more sensitive to fragrance, you might end up disliking this just because of the fragrance. I know fragrance can be a subjective thing, right? Because I don't think I am super sensitive to fragrances. Actually, I like the fragrance that this has, but I know a lot of people do not. But if you can look past the fragrance and some skin prep that is required while using this foundation, I think dry skin people will really like it. And it's my favorite, one of the favorites, because of the natural radiant finish that it gives. The next one on my list is the Armani Luminous foundation. I'm sure this is not surprising to a lot of people because we all know how famous this particular foundation is, especially in the high-end foundation range. And I think it deserves all the fame it has. It has such a great luminous finish to it. It gives you low to medium coverage, but it still lets your skin peek through and never cakes up on my skin. It does not break down. It also lasts a long time. I usually end up wearing my foundations when I go to work, and I work at least 8 hours every day. And I prefer a foundation like this when I know I'm going to be wearing this for longer hours. And this one never fails me when it comes to the long wearing problem, because I also do skin prep. Like when I know that I'm going to wear a foundation for longer hours, I tend to apply primer, especially around my mouth areas, which is kind of a problem area for me because, you know, it's the part which moves more in my face. So it tends to my foundations tend to break down, but not this one. And it does not settle into my fine lines. I also sometimes just go about my day without wearing a primer, and I think this one performs well without a primer too. And I like that about this. I know it's like the price is like up there, but I think it's well worth it. I did not find any foundation on the market that gives you a finish like this one. So I think it's well worth it, and it has good shade range. The shade 6 is like the perfect olive undertone, and if you have medium olive skin, definitely give shade 6 a try. And I don't know, like all the foundations that I'm going to talk about have similar properties to them. They're natural looking foundations, and this is definitely one of them. If you have this kind of money, like $60 kind of money, definitely give this one a try. I have another one too that I'm going to talk to you about, which can take the cake from this, but I'll tell you about it very soon. The third foundation on my list is the Nars Sheer Glow foundation. This is also one of the OGs of foundations that are really good for dry skin and also have a natural, most skin-like finish. And Nars has great foundations. They have really good base makeup, and they also have really good shade range, especially the Nars Sheer Glow. They just recently updated, not recently, like I think beginning of last year, they updated the shade range and they added a ton of olive undertone shades, and I'm very thankful and I'm glad they did that, because like I mentioned, olive undertones, it's really difficult to find a shade if you have olive undertone. And besides all the other good things, this one has a great natural finish, and the name says Natural Sheer Glow, but it's not that glowy and it's not sheer at all. It gives you like a nice satin finish, but if you wear like a nice dewy moisturizer or a nice dewy primer underneath, it'll definitely give you a dewy finish. What I'm trying to say is like it changes, it is like customizable based on your skincare prep. And that's what it does for me, at least. So I tend to use some glowy primers and like a dewy moisturizer, and whenever I do that, I use this foundation because the natural satin matte finish changes to like a subtle glow finish, and it is very forgiving on dry patches or dry skin, and it never cakes up on dry skin, and it works really well with my smile lines too. It's not like I have to like a really deep smile line, but then towards the end of the day, most foundations tend to settle down, and this one does not. I really like that about that. And this one has no fragrance, no alcohol, and it has vitamin C and turmeric in it. I love me some turmeric. I use that in a lot of face packs, and I feel good about using this foundation because I know I'm not hurting my skin a lot, you know? At the end of the day, even if I'm okay with some alcohol in the foundation or some fragrance in it, but in the back of my head, I know that my skin, it's not super good in the long run. But when I wear this one, I'm at least happy in the back of my head that it's not destroying my skin in the long run. And I recommend all of these foundations, but you would have to choose yourself based on your skin type and your lifestyle. So this is one great foundation too. My next favorite foundation is the Armani Neo Nude foundation. Armani just recently launched it, I think in February or March of 2020, and I'm so glad I found this on Sephora's website during the Sephora spring sale. This is the most natural true to skin foundation I have ever tried. And I think a lot of foundations say that they're true to skin, they'll look this, they look that, but this one is honestly a true to skin foundation, and I really like it. It becomes one with your skin and you cannot tell that you were wearing foundation. At least my friends couldn't tell that I was wearing foundation. And I had like good shade match. Number 6 was a little dark, but I could manage because it looks very natural on the skin. It gives me like a nice, I keep saying nice. I made like a first impressions wear test kind of video for this, and I wore it for more than 10 hours that day, and it looks really good at the end of 10 hours. And it was a hot day, and I was running around running errands, and I was in a training class, and it performed really well. That's why I'm really impressed with this. It does not settle into my fine lines, no trace of them. It looks really good on my skin. It does not have like a huge shade, it doesn't have a very big shade range at the moment, but I'm hoping that they will increase the shade range. And it's very similar to Armani Luminous Silk shades. Of course, the Luminous Silk has more number of shades, but yeah, that is one of the good things. And it is the standard size of foundation bottles is usually like 1 ounce, 30 ml, but this one is a little more than 30 ml, and it is 35 milliliters. It's not a huge thing, but it is significant sometimes, and the price is also pretty less compared to the Luminous Silk. It's $40 on Sephora, and I bought it on spring sale, so I felt like I got a good deal with it. So overall, I really like it, and it doesn't have any fragrance like the Luminous Silk does. I don't know if I mentioned it about Luminous Silk, but it does have fragrance. Not this one though. But the only thing I think on the back of my head I worry about just a little, because I have dry skin, is that both Luminous Silk and this one have alcohol. I mean, denatured alcohol, it evaporates really fast, and it's lightweight, makes the foundation lightweight. But I still, in the back of my head, I kind of worry about it because I have dry skin. But other than that, I really like this foundation. The finish is really good, one of my favorites. If you're in the market, please take a look. The next foundation I'm going to talk to you about is my holy grail. It's my favorite foundation so far out of all the foundations I have tried and all the foundations I talked to you about today. And that is ta-da! Guerlain Lessentiel Natural Glow Foundation. I'm surprised actually, because not a lot of people on YouTube talk about this foundation. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite finds. I think it was released in 2019, but I just discovered it this year. And I'm so glad I discovered it, because it looks really good on my skin. It's really natural. It looks very natural. It doesn't have a huge coverage. It's more like a low to medium coverage, but it looks so pretty on my skin. And the shade range is not super good compared to the other foundations I talked about so far, but it has good enough shade range. It has 30 shades. Doesn't have anything specifically made for olive skin, but I think I can manage with the shade 035W. I'm wearing this foundation today on my skin, and I'm really happy about how it looks. And other than the finish and all these good things, it has some better ingredients compared to a foundation like Luminous Silk or the Neo Nude, but it has fragrance in it though. Like all these high-end foundations, I don't know why, they have fragrance, and this one does. I'm not like, I think I already mentioned that I'm not super sensitive to fragrances, and this fragrance especially I like because it smells like almonds. I'm able to look past that because there's no alcohol in it, and there are some other better ingredients. It has probiotics, and it has SPF 20, and it's fully physical, which is titanium dioxide, but there's no zinc oxide, so I don't know if it's broad spectrum. It says it's broad spectrum SPF 20 on the bottle, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't rely on the sunscreen that comes with it, but I'm happy that it does not have chemical sunscreen ingredient, because sometimes my skin gets sensitive to chemical sunscreen ingredients, and I'm really glad that this doesn't. So what makes this one my favorite and not the Armani Luminous Silk? I like Armani Luminous Silk, but I like this one more than Luminous Silk. It has a very natural looking finish. It looks really good on skin, doesn't cake up on my face, doesn't break down. It is also long wearing, because like I said, I have seen some people saying that it is not long wearing on their skin on Reddit or some people on YouTube, but I think a good skin prep goes hand in hand, and most of these foundations, they look good on me, but sometimes they might not look the same on a different person. So it's all subjective sometimes, but after everything, I like this. It checks out everything on my favorite foundation list except the fragrance, but I'm able to look past the fragrance. But if you have the Luminous Silk, $60 kind of money, you should definitely give this a try, especially if you like Armani Luminous Silk. You've already tried it, you will definitely like this one. You might end up liking this one more than the Luminous Silk, and this is my holy grail foundation. Once again, Guerlain Lessentiel. I swear this is not sponsored by any of these brands that I talked about. Of course, I'm not like super big or anything that they will sponsor me, but nothing. Just saying, just putting it out there. The one more foundation I do not have with me right now is the Too Faced Bon Display foundation. I like that one too. It's also, the price is really good for that. For being a high-end foundation, it's really good. It looks natural, it doesn't look cakey at all, and it's super long wearing on my dry skin. I actually wore this for my wedding in India, and Indian weddings take a long time. I'm not complaining, but they're not like American weddings. Take a long time, and it looks so good in the pictures. I never looked caked up or never looked heavy with everything else on my face, like turmeric, some rice, and all that stuff. I really like that one, but I do not have it with me right now to show you guys, but that one's another one. If you think all the other foundations I mentioned are like pricey, definitely give Too Faced Bon This Way a try. I really liked that one, and I used it for over a year every day for work, and it looked really good. As good as it looked in the morning, it looked pretty good in the evening when I got back, and I recommend that one too. That's my list of favorite foundations that are most skin-like. These look very good on my skin and I really like them, but they might not look the same on a different person's skin. So it all depends on how you prep your skin type. But I hope my list gives you like a perspective when you're in the market looking for a new foundation. Definitely give these guys a try. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know your experiences. What is your favorite foundation out of all these foundations that I mentioned? Let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions about shade range or finish and long wearing or whatnot, please let me know in the comments and I will try to answer them and help you as much as I can. And I'll see you guys in my next video. If you can, please subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up button. That will help me a lot. And I'll see you soon in my next video.